So, welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube, and we are continuing the Omen discography reviews. In 1997, Kenny Powell resurrected Omen and released the comeback album that was titled Reopening the Gates. But it was a different album than what people thought. But after that album, Kenny Powell's son, Greg Powell, leaves the band, and in 1998 they found a replacement in Kevin Goocher. And 4 years pass, and in 2003 they release their follow-up album, titled Eternal Black Dawn, which was released through Mausoleum Records. Now, before the fans ever picked up this album, I guess what was going through the mind was, is this album continuing the sound that was present on Reopening the Gates? Because that album was more of a Pantera-esque sound. They definitely were kind of going for that sort of groove metal sound that was very popular within the 90s. Instead of really going for that classic Omen sound. And it definitely wasn't anywhere near the sound that was present on Escape to Nowhere, which that album was more of a melodic, hard rock, heavy metal album. So, before they picked this up, what was going through their mind? Of course, there was definitely a lot of worry, but there was definitely nothing to fear, because this album was just back to that Omen sound. Just pure, classic, majestic riffs, and just, very melodic guitar playing, everything from the writing. The whole sound, even of the sound, continues the sound of The Curse, pretty much acting like that Escape to Nowhere and Reopening the Gates were never released, never existed, never really, just scratched off the face of the earth. Just pure old school US power metal. Just a great, solid riffing and everything. Kevin Goocher, who he doesn't have that, the majestic voice of J.D. Kimball, but he does have at least, the voice that fits this type of music. He does have a great melodic voice. He does have at least, enough to where it really gives the album at least what it needs. And of course, even though listening to this album, it's, I kind of do miss J.D. Kimball's voice, but he is definitely, it's definitely used to it. I get used to the singing on this album. And one thing is that even Kenny Powell is just on fire on this disc. Rick Murray is able to flex his muscles because of Reopening the Gates. He was very strained on the album, and Eddie Hawes is just also able to flex more of his bass muscle. Everything about that is just great. So from 1,000-Year Reign all the way to the Spectre of Battles, this album is chock full with just great writing, with great riffs, just great everything. If anything, sure, it's not the greatest album because of course, that nostalgic factor, but it still is at least a great return to form. So, really, favorite tracks here are definitely a 1,000-Year Reign, House on Rue Royale, King of the Seven Seas, and the Spectre of Battles. Just these tracks really also are very good. Even the title track and Chaos in the Cathedral, also great tracks. Definitely good. But let's also focus on the track, which is The Spectre of Battles, which is a medley of songs such as Make Me Your King, which was off the Warning of Danger album, Dragon's Breath, Die by the Blade, and Nightmares. Now, Dragon's Blade and Die by the Blade, Dragon's Breath, were off the Battle Cry album. And, of course, Nightmares being off the Nightmare EP. But while listening to this track, Kevin Goocher is definitely trying to channel J.D. Kimball. He's definitely trying to channel every bit of that singer. And I was definitely getting a lot of that vibes. He was really trying to go for that sort of approach. In a way, paying tribute to that singer. Of course, the album itself was released a month before J.D. Kimball's, passing. But every bit of these tracks right here in this medley, it definitely is a tribute nonetheless, and it's done in respectable fashion, if any, in many ways. It's it pays respect, it pays tribute, it just pays all sorts of stuff to the classic Omen. And of course, again, Kevin Goocher paying tribute to J.D. Kimball. So, even though he doesn't have that majesticness that J.D. Kimball had, it's just here, in a way, it's just more of a tribute. So, with that said, solid album all the way through. Not really a bad track on here. It's definitely more closer to the sound that was featured on The Curse. And of course, you do have, hints of Warning of Danger and Battle Cry here and there. No remnants of Reopen the Gates and Escape to Nowhere. Those, again, scratched off. So, with that said, if you have heard this album, what are your thoughts? If you have any thoughts, you can post your comments down below. It's time to move on and wait for May 27th, which is, of course, in 2 days, because that's when Hammer Damage gets released. So with that said, later.